Okay. So hello everyone. This is Grace from Mondre Animal PMLS marketing department. So I will start the training today. So for the training today, we will have two parts. The first part will be the new product release, and the second part will be the uMec Vet Series patient monitor introduction. So I will start the training with the new product. And you guys, if you have any question or problems, you can ask me later when we finish the training, or maybe later I will also send you guys my email address. Also, if you have any further question, you can also send me the email. Okay, so let's start the training today. So first is about the new product. So this time we have two new products. First one is the Benny Heart R3 Vet electrocardiograph, and the second one is the uMec 20 Vet veterinary defibrillator monitor. So I will introduce one by one. So first is about the electrocardiograph. So before we introduce the product, we should have the idea is what is the ECG or electrocardiogram. So ECG, sometimes we also call it EKG. ECG, EKG is the same. So it's the short for the electrocardiogram. And electrocardiogram is a curve which represents the electrical activities in every cardiac circle recorded by an ECG machine from the body surface. So as you guys may know, for the heart, if they want to have the normal beat to contract and relax, actually it's all started with the electrical activities. So if the electrical activities is abnormal, so for sure the heart will have some problems. So for the ECG machine, it's mainly record all the ECG electrical activities and displayed on screen or maybe print out on the thermal paper. So for the ECG machine, normally it will take make the patient be still and take 10 seconds ECG signal recording. After recording the 10 seconds ECG signals, it will be displayed and print out on the paper. And after that, the doctors will give an ECG diagnosis result based on the ECG waveforms and measurements on the side. So this is the ECG, idea of ECG. So we will talk about the application of the ECG machine. So for sure, ECG is recording the electric activity of the heart. So for sure, it will be used in the cardiology department. So normally for the ECG machine, it will be used to diagnosis of the heart disease, especially the heart block disorders. So this will be the main application in the cardiology department. And also for those patients, if they already got the heart disease and doctors ask they're back to the hospital and do some routine test, it's okay. It's also use the ECG machine. This is the cardiology, but also in some other scenarios, they will also use the ECG machine. For example, like the emergency care and also like the physical examination and pre-operational examination. So why they use the ECG machine, like for example, pre-operational examination is because if the animal got some heart block disorders, maybe after the anesthesia and during the surgery, they may get some critical situation. So before the surgery, they have to make sure the animals don't have any kind of heart block disorders or any kind of heart disease. So they do the ECG test before. So it's the same for emergency care and also for the physical examination. All this kind of scenario is just to make sure the patient, the animal doesn't have any kind of heart block disorders. So also they will use the ECG machines. But there's one thing sometimes people will ask, because for the animal, for the vet application, normally when we're talking about the heart disease, we are using the ultrasound machine. But sometimes people never talk about the ECG machine. But actually, ECG machine is also very necessary, because for the heart disease or heart problem, there are two kinds of heart problem. One is the heart block disorders. Like we said, the electrical activity of the heart is normal, then it's okay. But if it's abnormal, like the heart block disorders, they will cause also cannot have the normal or regular heartbeat. So for this kind of disease or this kind of situation, we should use the ECG machine. But for some other patient, if they got some structural problems, for sure, we are still using the ultrasound machine. So for a professional cardiology department or cardiologist, or maybe the hospital is specialized for the cardiology, they always have to get ultrasound for sure, and together with the ECG machine for different kinds of problems. So this is the application of the ECG machine. So we talk back, back to the ECG machine itself. Actually, in the market, we'll have different types of ECG machines. So maybe you will heard like single channel ECG machine, 3-channel, 6-channel, and 12-channel ECG machine. So what's the difference? Actually, for all these kind of ECG machine, first, they all using the 12-lead ECG placement. As you may know, the lead means the electrode, the number of electrode you put on the patient's surface. So for all these ECG machine, they are introducing with the 12-lead system. So that means they will maximum have 10 electrodes placed on the patient side. But normally for that, we only use 4 or 5, that's enough. But for these 3-channel or 12-channel ECG machines, their leads are the same, lead placement are the same, but for the channel, they are different. So the channel means the maximum channel of waveforms can be printed out at the same time. As you know, the ECG machine, you have to connect the electrode on the patient side and get the ECG signals and get waveforms and print out. So for the 12-channel ECG machine, that means the maximum 12 waveforms can be printed out at the same time on the screen. So from the bottom to the top of the on the thermal paper, they will totally have 12 waveforms. But for the 3-channel ECG machines, also, it's using the 12-lead placement. They will have 12 waveforms, but it cannot print out 12 waveforms at the same time. So the 12 waveform will be divided into 4 groups, like the 3, they will print out the first 3, like lead 1, lead 2, lead 3, and then move on to other leads like AVR, AVL, AVF. So the 12 waveforms will be divided into 4 groups and then print out on a narrow thermal paper. So that's the 3-channel means. So right now in the market, 3-channel and 12-channel will be the most popular ECG machines type. So for our Bennington R3 VET, it's a 3-channel ECG machine, as you can see from this picture. It's very compact and lightweight, since the recorder here is also smaller. It's not like the 12-channel, it's 3-channel. So the machine can be very compact design. So it's also only 1.2 kilogram weight. And the surface of this machine is even smaller than an A4 size paper. So that means for the doctors, they can bring the ECG machine to different patient or maybe to different department to do the ECG test. Even the ECG machine is very compact design, but still we provide a 5-inch color screen. So on the screen, you can display all 12 different ECG waveforms on the screen, as well as the patient information and also some setups on the right side. So all the information can be displayed with the screen. As for the hardware design of this ECG machine, we are introducing with the high frequency sampling rate, which means the result will be accurate. So with the accurate waveform result, the doctors can do the diagnosis. And also, this is a 3-channel ECG machine. So this recorder is also like designed for 3-channel, but our recorder is a very unique special design. It can support both the rolling paper and Z-fold paper. So also for the ECG machine on the market right now, there were only 2 types of paper. One is rolling type and another one is Z-fold. So both rolling and Z-fold paper can be supported. So even the hospital, maybe they have some stocks for the summer paper for the previous maybe ECG machine, they can use together with our R3 VET machine. And also for the R3, we support the USB interface and RJ45 interface for the different connection. And also it can be optional configured with built-in Wi-Fi. It's also for the wireless connection. I will introduce the function of this connection later. And for the operation of this R3-VAT ECG machine, as you can tell from the picture here, actually we got some soft key. It's listed on the right side of the screen. And also we have some function keys. So with all these soft keys and function keys, we can do some common setups like display settings, like the gain of the waveforms, the speed of the waveforms, and also input the patient information after you click, you press the button, the ID, and you can input the ID of the patient, and you can maybe switch the category of this patient, and you can just press the category button. So normally you just use the button directly and input the information, that's enough. So it's very easy to operate machine. And also for this R3-VAT, we have a very large capacity battery. So that means it can support at least 500 pieces ECG test report printing. So I believe in the day, there will not have 500 patients they will need to do the ECG test. So that means for this ECG with the battery inside, it's totally enough for a whole day testing. So you can just bring the ECG machine to different patients to do the test. As I mentioned before, it's also very compact and lightweight design. So this is a very good feature with a large capacity battery. And another very important feature for the R3-VAT is the paperless informatics solution. As I mentioned before, the R3-VAT, they support the USB port, the LAN cable port, and also optional with the Wi-Fi inside. So actually with all this kind of interface and Wi-Fi function, actually we can provide different types of paperless solution for different kind of scenarios. For example, with the USB port, for sure, it can connect with the USB disk. So maybe you can think if you have a very small hospital, you don't have the cardiologist there, professional cardiologist there, but you want to do an ECG test for a patient. So you can store the ECG test result into the USB disk and transfer the PDF format result to your PC. And then maybe you can send an email to some other cardiologist and let them help you to do the diagnosis. So this is the one way you can use the USB to transfer to the PC. And if you have like a larger size hospital and maybe the cardiology is not doing, they are not performing the ECG test, but some technician doing the ECG test for the patient, it's also okay with the Wi-Fi or with the LAN cable connection. So that means the technician can use the ECG machine, do the test. After the test is finished, they can transfer through the Wi-Fi or the LAN cable connection, for example, to the FTP share. So the doctors can also enter into the FTP server and copy the ECG result to their own PC and do the diagnosis. Or even some of the hospital, they have the data management requirement. Also, Mindray can provide the CardioVista data management system. So you can also send the XML format ECG result to this software, and it can do a lot of things, even like reanalysis, something like that. So you can do a lot of things. And as for the printing, since we are talking about the paperless, so for the printing part, actually, if you're using this solution, there's no need to print out the result, the waveforms on the thermal recorder. You can just store the digital version like PDF version or XML version and transfer to different PC or software and then print out through the PC. So it will be the paperless solution. You will save a lot of budget for the thermal paper, and also it's an electrical report. So for those patients, they will have a routine test. You can keep all the report inside in the PC and maybe compare with different ECG test result. So this is the paperless informatics solution. We can provide it with R3-VAT, this machine. So this is for the R3-VAT electrocardiograph. So now we move on to another new product, the defibrillator monitor. So for the defibrillator monitor, uMec 20-VAT. So first, still we have to get an idea, what is the defibrillator monitor? So you can tell from the name, it actually have two parts of function. The first part is defibrillator, and another part is about the monitor. So for the defibrillator, actually, this is a device that can send an electric pulse or shock to the heart to restore a normal heartbeat. They are used to correct an arrhythmia, an uneven heartbeat that is too slow or too fast. So that means when we talk about the ECG machines, we said the heart is having the electrical activities. So if the electrical activities is abnormal, sometimes we call it arrhythmia. This happens, we can use the defibrillator machine to make it back to a normal heartbeat. So this is the function of the defibrillator. And also for this machine, it also has the function for the monitor part. So that means also it can monitor the ECG parameters and also some other parameters. So this is the defibrillator monitor. So for the defibrillator monitor, the application will be used in the emergency care, operation room, and also the ICU. So most of the time, the defibrillator monitor will be used in the ER and OR because during that time, they will have some very critical patients may suffer with the arrhythmia. So you have to rescue them. So it's always a must for this kind of department. But sometimes also if you have some like ICU not worked, and also they have some critical patient, they're always good to have a defibrillator there. So we will talk more details about this uMec 20 vet defibrillator. So first we talk about the technology it's used and also the setting it used. So for this defibrillator monitor, the most important thing is the technology they are using to do the defibrillation. And another thing is about the default setting for the energy, because when we do the defibrillation, we will put a lot of energy to this patient to get them back to the normal heartbeat. So for the research shows that the biphasic defibrillation has higher efficiency and lower risk of skin burns, less myocardial injury. But actually right now in the market, they also have another technology is monophasic. But monophasic is not like good as the biphasic right now. So for our uMec 20 vet, we are using the biphasic defibrillation technology. So with even the lower energy, they will have even a higher efficiency to put the patient back to the normal heartbeat. So this is the technology we are using. And also, since it's the defibrillator for the vet, we also adjust the the default setting for the energy options. As you may know, in the market, a lot of defibrillator is designed for human use. So for the energy for the human, maybe they will start the energy from 100 joule or 200 joule. So it's too much for the animals. But for our mandatory animal, we change the default settings. No matter it's canine or feline, we have the smaller, less energy options provided for those animals. And also we have the reference from the European standard and American standard. So both for the external or the internal defibrillation, it's enough and it's suitable. So that's what I'm talking about, our uMec 20 vet using the biphasic defibrillation technology and also with the animal default setting. Besides that, the uMec 20 vet actually is the fastest defibrillator in the market right now. That means for one time of defibrillation, it's only takes 7.5 seconds. That means turn on the power or turn on the machine, it will only take 2 seconds. And if you're charging to the 200 joule, it will only take 3 seconds. And also the ECG recovery will take 2.5 seconds. So that means 7.5 seconds in total. So this is the fast in the industry right now. And also the uMec 20 vet provide a large capacity battery for the operation. So it can support more than 300 shocks at 200 joules. But as I mentioned before, normally for the vet, it's no need to have 200 joules. So it can support like much more times shocks for the patient. And also for the defibrillator, when we're using the machine, if I just turn on the machine and find out it cannot work, it will be very serious problems because all those patients, they need defibrillator are all very critical. So for our uMec 20 vet, we are supporting a comprehensive auto test with test report. The machine can do the power on test and also the daily and weekly test. So for power on, we will also automatically test all the module are function well, and the routine test will also checking the external and internal discharge. And also they will do the weekly test for the energy delivery. So there's no worry, like if you turn on the machine and just find out the machine cannot work, it will never happen. We will have different types of tests you can set and to make sure when you turn on the machine, it always can work. So this is the uMec 20 vet. And also for those, some of the doctors or physicians, maybe they are not familiar with the defibrillator monitor, and sometimes they do not know how to use or how to do the setup, or how to do the press the buttons. It's also for our uMec 20 vet, it's not a problem. First, we have a 7-inch color display, so all the information will be clearly displayed on the screen, and we will have a software introduction. So that means when you turn on the machine, the first time they will have an on-screen introduction with the display on the display, and also they will teach you to follow the buttons to do the procedures like the 1, 2, 3. The first one is to choose the mode, defibrillator mode or monitor mode, and to choose the energy, and then charge the machine and then do the shock. So you can just easily follow the 1, 2, 3 button and on-screen introduction and know how to use the machine. As for the paddles, for the accessory, the paddles also is our unique feature that we have the one-person operation function. That means on the paddles, actually we have different buttons to choose the energy, to start charging and to start shock. So sometimes for the hospital, there are only one doctor there, they are rescuing the patient. So there's no other one to help doctor to press the button on the front panel. So they can just directly use this external paddle and to finish the defibrillation. And also on the external paddles and also on screen, we have the animal contact indicator. It's a light. So when you would like to start to shock the patient, you can check the color of the light. If it's green, that means the contact is good. Or maybe it's orange or maybe it's red, that means the contact is not good, so you are not suitable to do the shock procedure. So you can directly tell the condition of the contact through this external paddle or on the screen. So that's the features for the defibrillator part. But also, as I mentioned, this machine can also use as a monitor, patient monitor. So for this part, this uMec 20 vet, actually we are introducing the multi-parameter module, which is the same one as the high-end monitor, like the N series and the EPM series. If you have the idea, it's also the most high-end patient monitor from our company. And also for the ECG, for the ECG and respiration, it's the standard configuration parameter for this machine. But also you can choose other parameters like SpO2, an IBP, and a CO2 as the optional function. So that means if you already have all these parameters, that actually is totally enough for the vet use, especially with the CO2. So you can use this machine as the monitor in some like emergency care department. And once the critical patient come, you can use the defibrillator function for them as well. So this is the uMec 20 vet defibrillator monitor. So if you like to know more details and features, you can send me the email or maybe ask the sales representative. We have different catalogs and the introduction material. You can know more details about the machines. Okay, so now we move on to the introduction of the advantage of uMec vet series patient monitor. So as you guys may know, we have different patient monitor series like uMec series and EPM series. For the uMec series, actually we have two models. One is uMec 12 vet and another one is uMec 10 vet. So today I will introduce also the advantage of the uMec series. So when we using the patient monitor, actually uMec series or other brands, actually the doctors or the physicians, actually they were also facing a lot of problems. So for example, when they're using the patient monitor, they will do not know where to do the setup or why after they turn on the machine. Normally, you should do the setup, for example, like the patient's type, the category, maybe the weight, a lot of information. But sometimes the doctors do not know where to do the setups or why they have to do the setups. So that's because for some patient monitor product right now, they do not have touchscreen. They are using the hotkeys or control knob, or even they have touchscreen or control knobs. Sometimes the layout for the menu is not reasonable, so they cannot find the function they want to use. So there's sometimes they just forgot to do the setup, and even they do the setup sometimes for a lot of patient monitor product right now for the vet application. There's no meaning. There's no difference even after you do the patient type and weight setup. And sometimes you do the setups, like for example, the feline and the canine. You think you do the setup, but actually the measurement range or the alarm setting actually is still the same, because a lot of patient monitor, they are using the setup as the human application. So for no matter for canine or feline, they will all use the neonatal patient type setup from the human machines. So for our uMec vet, actually for the operation, we have the optional full touchscreen. It's for the uMec 12 vet. So if you're using the full touchscreen, so it's for sure it's very easy to do the operation. You just what you see, you just click the area and do the settings. It's very convenient. But for the uMec 10, we do not provide the touchscreen option, but it's okay because even for the uMec 10 and also uMec 12, we have the quick key on the bottom of the screen. So it's like a shortcut to different common functions. So with the control knob and also the button, you can still easily to find those different settings you would like to use with the quick keys. So for our uMec vet, it's very easy to understand how to do the settings and how to enter those menus. As for the settings, also our uMec vet, there's always related to the animals. Once you choose the different category, different types of animals, and also sometimes the weight, actually the default setting, the measurement range will be different. So it will be always corresponding range and limits to the animals. So this is what I'm talking about. The uMec 12 vet, we got the touchscreen, and uMec 10, we don't have touchscreen, but still the quick keys, it can easily to do the operation. So this is for the first question, do the setup. And sometimes they will have other problems. For example, like the manpower shortage in the OR. Because as we know, during the surgery, sometimes especially for some small clinics, there's always not like a lot of doctors and nurses there. Sometimes maybe just one doctor, they are doing the surgery. So if there's only one person doing the surgery, for sure, sometimes if the patient monitor, the screen, they have some reflection or maybe not clear enough, they cannot saw all the waveforms and the numbers details from the screen. And also sometimes the layout is not reasonable. They can also not to find out the information they would like to know. So this is for the clear vision, maybe they cannot get. And also if the accessories connect with the patient, the connection is not good. For example, the ECG laid off, or sometimes other sensors is off. But the doctor, the only one person is doing the surgery, they cannot go back to check which lead is off or what happened. So it will be problems. It will also give you the false alarm. So for the uMec series, Actually, we have different solutions for that. First, for our uMec 12 and uMec 10Z, the machines, we got a very clear view with suitable modes. We have a high resolution display with anti-glare, and also we have different display modes like standard mode, large font mode, etc. to provide to use. And also for the accessories, actually all our accessories are for animal use, and also we are well designed. For example, we can check the accessories like the ECG, because ECG we will have different 3 lead or 5 lead. You will have at least 3 or 5 electrodes, so it will always sometimes got some problem like lead off. So this is our ECG crocodile clip. You can see that from the picture. So the pinch design ensures that the clip connection is stable. The position and length of the pinch are suitable for animal characteristics to ensure comfort. So, and also on the front side, we have a very large area trunk design to increase the area of force and avoid crushing animal swing. And also on the top side, we have this smooth design. It makes sure the clip not easy to fall off and keep signal acquisition stable. So once the clip can connect with the patient very stable way, and also not hurt the animal, and also make sure the signal, the contact area is totally enough, so they were not easy to lose or fall off. So that means when we're doing the surgery, there's no worry for the ECG lead will have some lead off and giving the alarms happen. So this is for the surgery, in the surgery. And also there's one very important problems that facing for the patient monitor is if the patient monitor is not good enough, it will have some false alarms. And especially during a surgery, it will be very annoying. So for this problem, it's normally because a lot of patient monitor for the veterinary use right now, they do not have the interpretation for vet application, and also sometimes the accessories are not for vet use. So for our uMec vet, actually, we have the interpretation specially designed for vet or suitable for vet, for no matter for ECG, for SpO2, or for NIBP. And also all the accessories are specially designed and optimized for the vet application to help to get a more accurate result. So we can solve those details one by one. The first is about the ECG, these parameters. So under the anesthesia, you may know the animals, they will have some spontaneous breathing. So the spontaneous breathing will lead to body movement. So if they got some body movement for ECG, this parameter, they will possible have the EMG interference. Besides EMG interference, they will also have some problems once the animal is moving. Maybe the clip will be loose or fall off. Or sometimes when you change the body position of this animal during the surgery, they will also cause the fall off of the lid. So all these issues may directly affect the accuracy of ECG monitoring, which may lead to false heart rate readings and also the false heart rhythm analysis. So you can see from the picture on the left side, the lead one right now, the electrode is being pulled. So you can see the waveforms is having a lot of interference. Or maybe the lead is off, so the line will be the straight line. There's no signals there. So right now in the market, a lot of monitor products, they are doing the ECG monitoring based on only one ECG waveform. So if this kind of situation happened, especially for the vet, because they were very easily to get some interference. So a single ECG lead waveform is not enough to do a very accurate ECG calculation and analysis. So for us, we have the multi-lead analysis algorithm. So if the lead one right now is having some interference, and if you're choosing it to do the ECG monitoring, you can see the ECG heart rate will be 150, and actually it's a false readings. But since we have the multi-lead algorithm, so we can detect the lead 3 right now, the signal is good. they will have no interference right now. So we can, based on the lead 3, to do the calculation. And you can see the ECG, the heart rate is 16, and it's a normal heart rate. So it can reduce the false alarms and also let the doctor focus on their surgery. So it will also give you a fast and more accurate measurement result for the ECG, for the heart rate and also for the arrhythmia analysis. So this is for the ECG. And for the SpO2, it's also the same. Still, when you're doing the surgery, the patient is under anesthesia and they will have the spontaneous breathing. So when they having the breathing, they also have the body movement. So the accuracy of the SpO2 may be affected if the body movement and the pulse position cannot be distinguished, because all those body movement and pulse position will have some waveforms. So you cannot tell like which part is from the SpO2 and which part is from the motion. So actually for our technology, we will have an anti-motion technology inside. So that means it will have the filter to identify the interface caused by the body movement. And also it will be removed those interference and restore the real pulse wave, and then to have the accurate readings of the SpO2. So even they have body movement, we can still get a very accurate result for the SpO2. And also for some weak patients during the surgery, maybe they have weak perfusion and low temperature, and also the circulation is very poor. So their pulse signals will be very weak and difficult to acquire. So if we're facing this kind of situation, our machine will detect the weak signal and then automatically adjust the light intensity of the SpO2 sensor. And when we adjust the light intensity, it will, also kind of like amplify the signals, and also it can measure to get the result, to get the SpO2 result according to the perfusion. So when we detect the perfusion is not good, we can automatically adjust the light intensity to get a result, to get accurate SpO2 readings. So that's for the SpO2. And for this NIBP parameters, you may know like the NIBP, the non-invasive blood pressure, actually is measured by the principle of oscillation method. So that means the body movement will also cause oscillation of the pulse signals. So it's the same when you measure the NIBP, there's oscillation caused by the blood flow and there's oscillation caused by the body movement. So for other brands, they cannot tell like which part is the oscillation and have its real oscillation to measure the NIBP. But for us, we have this anti-motion technology. Also, it can identify and eliminate the motion interference signals, and also restore the real pulse wave and obtain more accurate and reliable measurement result. So even the patient under anesthesia, they have some movement. When we measure the NIBP, still we can remove those interference and get an accurate result for the NIBP. So that's for the body movement. And also for the NIBP, sometimes for some small animals, they have small blood vessel elasticity and weak pumping function. So their pulse signals is very weak. So it's not easy to detect their pulse signals. And it's not, we cannot get the result. So for our machine, actually, when we detect their signals is very weak. So we will amplify the signal actually to over the threshold, and then analysis the waveform and calculate the blood pressure. So that's the reason why even when we monitoring some small animals, we can still get their accurate NIBP readings. So you can see no matter from ECG to SpO2 or to NIBP, we have the algorithm and it's optimized for the animal applications. And another problem, next problem that the doctors will be facing when they're using a patient monitor is how to ensure the patient's safety during the anesthesia. Because we already mentioned that the patient monitor, they will use ECG, SpO2, and NIBP to detect all the basic vital signs. But sometimes it's not enough for the surgery. So sometimes actually the doctors need to use the CO2 module, but some doctors, they have no idea why you should use the CO2 together with the basic parameter. And some of the doctors, they have the idea, but sometimes they buy the machine, but the CO2 module is not good enough. Maybe the service life is very short, or maybe the gas sampling rate is not suitable for the animals. But for our uMec vet series, first, we provide the side stream CO2 options on uMec 12 vet. So that means for those doctors, they already know the meaning of monitoring the CO2. They can choose the uMec 12 vet to also with the CO2 function. And also for our CO2 module, we are using this Ultima technology. It's already being used in the patient monitor product like 30 years. It's very accurate monitoring and it's stable performance. So make sure the Ultima module is kind of like a golden standard CO2 module right now in the industry. And this Ultima module can provide different sampling rates according to different animals. For the large, for the small size, we're providing different sampling rate and different accessories to be used. So it's also to make sure the accuracy of the CO2 readings. So for the CO2, these parameters, as I mentioned, some of the doctors, they may not have a very clear idea why we should to use the CO2. But actually for this CO2, these parameters, the CO2 can reflect the intubation condition of the patient and also sometimes the performance of anesthesia machine, as well as the physiological problem of animals themselves. So for example, you can tell a lot of things from the shape of the CO2 waveforms, like, for example, like the intubation condition. We're talking about the placement of the endotracheal tube. Like you should put the tube into the airway, but maybe you put in some other places, other places, they will be wrong. There will be like no waveforms. So you can tell from the shape of the waveforms. And also the different shape of the waveform can help to confirm if if the patient having the hyperventilation or hypoventilation. And also for the anesthesia machine, like for example, if there's a solar line is failure, or maybe the dead space is too large, also you can tell from the waveforms. And also for the CO2, actually, it can reflect the abnormal ventilation and oxygenation faster than the SpO2, because the SpO2, because it's a technology for the SpO2, they will have few seconds, like more longer time, then they can reflect the changing of the ventilation and oxygenation. But for the ECCO2, it's very short time. You can just directly reflect the abnormal. So that's the reason why we need to use the ETCO2 module. So besides the anesthesia safety and all those parameters, the accessories are also very important for the patient monitor product. But right now in the market, actually a lot of veterinary monitor, the accessories are not suitable for the vet applications. They are still using the accessories for human use, and also the design sometimes is not good. It will have some injury caused by the sharp edge or something like that. And also besides the accessories, there's no extra functions like on-screen reminder they can use together with the accessories. But for us, for our uMec vet series, first, as I mentioned before, we have the professional accessories, no matter for ECG, SpO2, NIBP, and also the CO2. We have different accessories designed or suitable for veterinary application. And also for the parameter, I will have an example. We got the perfusion index. It can also help to use together with our accessory to make sure the patient condition is good. So for the accessories, here I listed the accessories from us right now. It's all well designed. The first one is the ECG cocktail clip. As I mentioned before, the design of the clips can increase the skin contact and also firmly contact with the patient side. And also the smooth edges will reduce the damage to the patient's skin. So it's very well designed for the ECG monitoring. If you are not using the ECG cocktail clips or ECG cables, you can also choose the esophageal probe. It's also probe specially designed for VET application. For this probe, it can have the ECG monitoring as well as the temperature monitoring. It's a 2-in-1 monitoring accessories. So this probe will be put into the esophageal. So that means there's no accessories attached on the body surface of the patient. So if there's some interference, like for example, we are changing the body position of this patient during the surgery, there will be no lead off like this kind of interference. So the ECG readings and temperature readings will be also stable comparing with the traditional ECG cable and ECG accessories, because when you have the clip outside the body and connect with the skin, sometimes it always get affect with like the EMG or something like that. So the esophageal probe can remove those interference. And also we provide different size of probes for different patients, the large size, the medium size. So that's for the esophageal probe. And also for the SpO2 sensor, we also have the specially clips designed for the VET application to make sure the sensor can be attached to multiple sites, and also the pressure can be reduced so they were not harmful to the patient, to the measure site. And also still it can be stable fixed with the patient. So this is our SpO2 sensor. And also for the NIBP cuff here, actually this is our new NIBP cuff that we will release next month. So this is the new one. And you can tell from the printing on the cuff there, you can see we adjust a lot of things, the printing, the material, a lot of things. So these 5 cuffs is also specially designed for VET application. And we have different multiple size you can choose. And also since we changed the material of these cuffs, actually they can use even a longer time than the previous one. And also we also change a new hook and loop part. So to make sure there will be less animal hair will attach on the hook and loop part. So also that means the cuff can be used a longer time. So this is the new NIBP cuff designed for that, and we will release soon. So all these accessories we are designed for that application. And as I said, besides the accessory itself, also we have some on-screen reminder or parameters that can help for the measurements. For example, like the SpO2. We all know the SpO2 sensor will clip maybe on the tongues, on the ears, especially on the tongues. If you put the SpO2 sensor on the tongues for a long time, especially for some small animals, maybe they will have some like pressure on this measurement side. Maybe they were causing the low perfusion and also causing some injuries to the animals. But for us, besides the accessories, our design is already improved, and it can put less pressure on the measurement side. Also, we have this PI perfusion index function together with the SpO2 module. So according to the PI value, actually, you can understand the perfusion condition of the measurement site. So once the perfusion condition is not good, you can switch the measurement site in time and protect the animal from the injury from the accessories. So this is also a parameters of our software function we can provide it together with the accessories to make sure the safety of the animals. So this is about the accessories part. Besides the accessories, also for the patient monitor products, doctors need to do some medical recorders, and also they have to do the data backup just in case. But right now, for the patient monitor in the market right now, a lot of patient monitors, they do not have the storage inside. So that means maybe they cannot have the data review. For example, you cannot review the data after the monitoring. And also sometimes some technicians, they will manually handwriting all those records on paper, but maybe after the turn off the machine, and they forgot to fill the blanks, maybe the result is gone because there's no data storage inside. So they were causing a lot of problems. But for our uMec series, first, we have different solutions for the data backup. For example, you can choose the USB storage with the USB disk. You can store the data into the USB disk. And also for the uMec 12-FAT, we can provide the internal memory card. And also it can store the data and all the waveforms, everything, and you can review. Both the data stored in the USB disk or the internal ones, they can be reviewed directly through the patient monitor itself. But besides the data storage, also the uMec series can provide a network connectivities. So that means the machine can connect with the CMS FAT software. So for some large hospital, they can directly connect with the CMS system, and all the data will be stored and on the software side, and also have the data backup. So for the data storage, as I mentioned, we have the external USB storage and internal memories. So you can see we can store a lot of information like 1200 hours range, 60 hours sets of NIBP measurements, the alarm event, the arrhythmia event, a lot of events, including the measurements and waveforms related to the event. And also we have the 48 hours full disclosure waveform. The full disclosure waveforms actually is also very important because for a lot of patient monitor product, they can store the trend for the parameters, but especially for the ECG parameters, these parameters, sometimes we like to review more details for the ECG waveforms, but not the trend, because the trend can only provide the trend wave for the heart rate. So if we can store a long time full disclosure waveforms, especially the ECG wave, the doctors, they can check all the detailed information through the waveform, the original waveform on the patient monitor itself, and have a better idea of like what's happening during the surgery from all these details. So with this storage function, it's very good. You can choose the internal one or the external one. And also, as I mentioned, if you have the network connectabilities, so the uMec series can also connect with our CMS BAT, the software, and the CMS BAT. Actually, we have different clients, client sites like the CS, the central station, the workstation, the view station, and the mobile viewer. All those different clients will be for different application. So for example, like the mobile viewer, for sure, you can bring the pad or maybe your cell phone to different office and you can still check the patient's condition. And for the uMec monitor, it can connect with the CMS BAT, the software, through the Ethernet connection or through the Wi-Fi wireless way. And also with the connection of the central system, it can also connect with the Ethernet printer. So you can print out all the alarm event, everything waveforms. So this is the network connectivity solutions for the uMec series. So that's for the data. And for the last, the problems when they're using the patient monitor, there's one problem is sometimes the patient monitor is very difficult to disinfect and the monitor sometimes is not durable. So the disinfect problem is very important also for the vet use because they're using this monitor product together with the animals. So most of the animals, they are having the hair, so they will have the hair problem, especially when the monitor have the fan inside. So they were causing the noises and also the infection, the cross infection, a lot of things. And also for the monitors, a lot of monitors for vet application is not durable. When you're using the cleaning disinfectant on those monitors, the material will become yellow very easily. And also after maybe you are using the disinfection and maybe you accidentally drop the machine when you pulling the cable, the sensor, it will also broke. So it's not durable. But for the uMec, actually, we have fanless design. This means there's no fan inside. So it can reduce the hair inhalation and ensure the service life of this monitor. And also for this uMec Vet series, we can support maximum 8 types of cleaning disinfection agent. So you can see no matter what kind of disinfection, because normally they will only use like 3 or 2 is enough, but we can support 8 different types. So that can make sure the machine even after the disinfection is still good. And also the machine have the drop test. So if even you accidentally drop the machine, it will be still very durable and reliable and no broken. So for the fan design, as I mentioned before, there's no fan inside. So there will be no hair inhalation into the machine. So they will be very easy to clean the machine, and there will be no noises caused by the fan and also the animal hair. And also, as I mentioned, the material of this machine is very good. It can support up to 8 disinfection reagents, and also it have a very good resistance to the impact, to high temperature, to the corrosion. And also the uMec Vet series have passed the test for the drop like 0.75 meter 5-side drop protection. So even you accidentally drop the machine, still it will be work normally. So as a conclusion, you can see when we talk about using the patient monitoring product, they will have different problems like the setup, like the accessories, the lead off problem, the annoying false alarm problem, and maybe the safety during anesthesia, the accessories, the interpretation not for the vet, and also the records, the data backup, and also the durable, and also the disinfection problems for this patient monitor product. But for all these 7 problems, we have our answers. We have quick keys, we have touchscreen, and we have animal-related setup to make sure the operation is very easy. And also we have a very clear display with different mode. And also we have reliable accessory to make sure even during the surgery, you can saw all the detailed information clearly and there's no false alarm. Also, we have the interpretation and accessories for vet use. So even during the surgery, even they have the body motion, body movement, there will be no interpretation from those sides, and we can still provide a very accurate result. And also for safety during the anesthesia, besides the basic parameters, we can provide the golden standard Artima CO2 module to make sure you will have the accurate CO2 readings. And also we have different types, the ECG clip, the SpO2 sensor, the esophageal probe, and also the animal type an IBP cuff. All those accessories are designed for vet applications. And also we have the internal external data storage and network connection. So just in case the doctors need to do some data backup and do some medical record, they can use all those data stored inside. And also for this machine, it's fanless, it's easy to clean, there's no problem causing from the animal hair. And also we have the drop protection, make sure the machine is very durable. So you can see all the problems right now. A lot of that hospital they are facing when they're using the patient monitor product, we can all solve through the uMec series patient monitor. So that's the reason why the uMec series right now is also a very popular module in the market, and also is being tested by the market. It's a very good veterinary monitor. Okay, so that's all for today's training. So if you guys have any questions, you can ask right now. No matter the question is related with the ECG machine, the defibrillator, or the uMec series patient monitor. you can leave your questions and we can discuss.